I mean, look, anytime that there's a new contract involved, we need you to do this and we need to do that. But the thing that makes it odd is Steve Kerr, right? It's not like some new guy. If this was him in the first year of his deal, I get it. But, but the fact that he's hanging on and he's actually listened to this tells me that he hasn't got to a point where he feels disrespected.
All right, Mark, this will shock you. But we'd like to start out by talking about Steve Kerr. What are you hearing? Let me just ask it that way. Everybody's got a take. What are you hearing right now?
Last I heard was some positivity. I think the thing is, if he was definitely gone when he had done it already, right? But the thing that kind of scares me, it feels like marriage counseling. So that's how this whole seems like. Well, if you could do this, and then we could do that, and then we could all have kumbaya, and we could stay married. And I just don't really understand why somebody that's had that kind of success, somebody that's going to be in the Hall of Fame, is getting some guidelines. There's a couple jobs open. I don't think Steve wants another job, but whether it's next year or going on TV, my worry for the Warriors is keep, telling this man he can't do this and that. If and Monty Poole is a great reporter, he knows what he's talking about. But if you keep moving the goalposts, man, sounds like you're playing with fire, and if you're playing with fire, he could be gone. So the rhetoric I've been hearing the last couple of days certainly is really odd to me based on the success that this guy has had.
But the rhetoric is there, obviously, for some reason. And maybe it's because of the ownership and the things that they want that are going to be different. Do you get any sense that, the divide between the two sides is going to be too big to bridge for Steve to actually come back?
If he wants to come back, he can. Like the Draymond thing don't bother me. I think their relationship is always going to be a love, keep it real relationship. And, but the fact that it's lingering on, to me, I think that's a good thing. That shows that he's trying to work it out, because Doc Rivers, he's done right. Milwaukee's already hired another coach. New Orleans been talking to people. Portland's owner been talking to people probably for 3 months now. But the Warriors are still haggling with it. So to me, the longer it goes on, at least that means that conversations are continuing and they're trying to figure out a way to, both sides are trying to figure out a way to work it out. Because if it's lasted this long, that to me says that both sides are invested on trying to figure it out.
Mark, okay, I'm tapping into what you're saying right now, and it leads to this question, because the idea that the Warriors front office is either making this difficult. Obviously, there's that whole thing about whether or not they're trying to censor him in some sort of a way. And you brought up the fact that it's we're talking about a 4-time championship head coach.
Yeah.
Does this feel disrespectful to you?
It's odd. Look, anytime that there's a new contract involved, we need you to do this and we need to do that. But the thing that makes it odd is Steve Kerr, right? It's not like some new guy. If this was him in the first year of his deal, I'd get it. But the fact that he's hanging on and he's actually listened to this tells me that he hasn't got to a point where he feels disrespected. But ultimately, man, I don't think Steve compromises the person he is, the morals that he is. I think he'd have a really, really hard time coming back and coaching and not being able to be himself and speak out on whatever he wants to speak out on. In terms of the other thing, coaching things, looking at AI, stats, whatever. I could get that, but it's just weird that it's one of the most weird things I've seen in coaching history, I guess, because I can't recall another situation where, like I said, where it sounds like marriage counseling. Let's figure this out, but you got to change this. I need you to put the toilet seat down. I mean, and that's the oddity of it, but he didn't say no, right? So until he says no, and I think there's hope that he stays. And I talked to somebody a couple of days ago. They seemed more optimistic that he would last week than they did the week before. But I mean, ultimately, it's on Steve, man, and they definitely have to let him be himself.
Are there any big things that are out there, whether it's Steve Kerr wanting more control over the draft or them wanting the offense to be different? Is there anything that's really, in your opinion, too big to actually get through?
I think the voice thing is important to him because he respects the platform that he has and the change that he can make, or at least the voice that he has. So I don't see that changing. In terms of the other stuff, it'd be hard for me to say. I wonder if they keep the coaching staff the same. Steve typically does make some changes, and I did find it interesting that Willie Green, came and visited, within the last month of the season. He came and visited the Warriors. Obviously, the former Pelicans head coach, former Warriors assistant under Steve. And he also spent some time with Steve during an off day. So if Steve does stay, I wonder if Willie's somebody that could end up being back on the staff. And the fact that even Steve is having those kind of conversations maybe leads to some optimism. But like I said, I mean, the fact that it's just hanging along this long, I guess it's in an odd way, I feel like that's probably a good thing, because if he didn't want to stay, what's stopping him from saying deuces?
Can we dive into the offseason also, Mark? And I want to go back to the statement that you made to us just a few weeks ago that Steph Curry, and I don't want to misquote you, but that basically Steph Curry is at least somewhat expecting that the Warriors will go after a big fish. Is that the right word? That he's expecting that, and how does that factor into the whole head coach thing?
He didn't tell me that.
Okay,
I'm expecting that for him. He should expect that. He's Steph Curry. I mean, and I think that the Warriors management wants that for him as well. And I also think when you have a franchise that has Steph Curry, when you have a franchise that is got a brand, being in the Bay Area, that if the Warriors call, why would you not listen, right? LeBron James is a free agent. Why shouldn't he at least explore the Warriors, which he's going to be? If Giannis is considering leaving, why wouldn't he consider it? I don't understand why anybody would not want to play with Steph Curry. So did Steph Curry tell me something? No. My point is, when you have Steph Curry, you should expect the franchise to put greatness or do the best they can around them. And, I expect them leaving the Warriors to try to do that. I mean, that window isn't closed, but it's not as easy to breathe out of it as before. So I do expect them to continue to Marc Spears, expect them to try to put the best players around them possible.
How does that factor into the whole head coaching thing, though? Because, the idea of staying veteran and having a new coach, I think to a lot of people feels odd.
Yeah, well, I mean, God forbid Steve leaves. Who's good enough to take this job?
Yeah, I got nothing.
Give me some names.
I got nothing.
I mean, what are you gonna go get Luke Walton? You're gonna go get Willie Green? I mean, that Florida thing sounds. I mean, it's an amazing college coach, but you're gonna ask him to coach Steph Curry and Draymond Green and Jimmy Butler as a rookie NBA head coach? I don't care what he did at Florida or USF. Good luck with that. I mean, who are you going to get? I mean, and that's the thing that I think the Warriors got to look at as well. It all sounds good until you got to get a replacement. And getting somebody that's, you can't get somebody that's best for ownership and management. You got to get somebody that's best for your 3 stars. Yeah. If you don't, then I think if we just assume that, Draymond could opt out, right? Steph, you should never assume that he's just going to be here forever. Not that I'm saying he won't, but you just can't assume those things. It's almost like NIL. You got to keep recruiting your guys to stay. So I just, if I scour my brain right now, there's no one that jumps to mind that's like, you know what? If Steve goes, he'd be perfect.
Yeah.
And I'm asking you two the same thing.
No, I got nothing.
No, Bob McKillop, former coach of Davidson. Mark, you can go ahead and write that in your next little column.
No, I wouldn't do that to Bob. Bob's like 95 years old, man. He don't want that headache.
No, he doesn't want that. I think your point is well made about, like, who could come in and try to command this.
It all sounds good till you have to go get somebody else.
Well, I mean, if it's Steph and Draymond and Jimmy, those are three vets and strong personalities.
Yeah.
So,
and that's a name. Jimmy is somebody that he's still under contract. Like, let's not act like Jimmy Butler's not a star and still not a part of this equation. You got three superstars in their twilight, and you want to bring in a rookie head coach. I mean, I'm just like thinking, like, who could walk in to that locker room right now, not named Steve Kerr, and they'd be like, okay, we good with this. And nobody comes to mind.
And you are such an expert on Draymond Green and relationships. The comments that he made the other day, both about Steve Kerr being so great to him, but also somewhat hindering his career. But then maybe even more importantly, where he said, I don't even know if Steve Kerr technically ever really liked me. Like, what did you make of that, Mark?
Draymond me to go on the beach and relax and enjoy his off season, man. He knows Steve loves him. Steve don't put his hand around him and Steph and make that kind of proclamation, but Draymond was having a very entertaining podcast. I think, when you got fathers and sons, which I kind of feel like that's kind of their relationship, they kind of push each other and prod each other. And, me and my sister got a relationship like that sometimes, right? But at the end of the day, they love each other. I think Draymond would be devastated if he left. So I didn't put too much into it.
Okay.
Yeah.